there's this Federalism Scorecard that you all use. Can you tell us what that is, just generally? What do you measure? And then maybe dive a little deeper into how Utah, if there's other states that stand out, what are the trends that are noteworthy from that scorecard?
The Center for Practical Federalism, we recognized that we needed to make federalism practical. A lot of the discussions about federalism, a lot of times is about Madison or Locke and kind of the philosophical underpinnings of federalism. And those are important, but we wanted things to be shovel ready for state leaders to be able to access them. And so what we started doing was doing a deep dive into states and just looking at the rules and the policies and the procedures that states rely on that govern their relationship with the federal government. And we identified two categories of policies that we baked into this scorecard. And the first are what we consider internal protections, right? Those are the laws and processes in place that impacts the state's executive branch and agencies and just help them make good decisions. So that's things like, does your legislature have an oversight committee? Do they actually do oversight? Is there judicial limits on agency power? We talk a lot about limiting federal government and EPA and all the state agencies and federal bureaucrats, their power on making critical decisions. But states also need to have some sort of guardrails on their state agencies. And then even does the legislature have the ability to review and potentially akin to vetoing state regulations? And then there's external protections, right? Those are the rules that impact and protect the state. Create good guardrails on how they interact with the federal government. And Utah has been fantastic in this. So things like how much control states have over federal grants, whether they are identifying and developing contingency planning over what they're going to accept and what happens if that money goes away from the federal government. And even just keeping a close eye and shedding some transparency on all the what we call guidance, right? All kind of the informal rules, but a lot of times when it comes to the state and local government, it almost becomes de facto rules, shining a light on all those. So what we call policies and kind of protections. And because everybody loves a scorecard in figuring out where their state ranks, we put it in a scorecard. And it's not necessarily a situation where it's a good state or a bad state. It's just identifying how potentially vulnerable is your state. So the good news is Utah, you guys are in the top 5. I think the last data you're ranked number 2. But the last thing I just want to flag too is originally when we were doing this project, I thought, of course, red states, Republican-controlled states, they're going to be at the top of the litter. They're always suing the federal government. Surprisingly enough, you have several blue states that are in the top 10. Oregon has some really amazing protections, especially too when they decide to accept a federal grant. So it's not a red or blue state. It really is just a good governance issue that we are trying to track and share and evangelize.